As a believer, there's a lot of things I could share about prayer. Prayers come through for me, and the stories we hear, especially in prayer group every week, really do build your faith. There's something about praying that is an act of faith. You're having faith that there's someone to pray to. You're making that connection. When you're praying, you're just showing, you're believing that on that journey, you're not going to be alone. In February of 2011, we got the news that Dave would be losing his job with Pepsi. He had been with them in one form or another for over 25 years. We'd had a lot of moves through that company. And he survived a lot of mergers and downsizing, but now it was our turn. I prayed that a job would open up, and I especially prayed that it would open up here because I love St. Louis. I've lived a lot of different places. I don't know what it is about here, but it just grabbed my heart from the get-go. And my family is here. When we did move here, it kind of somehow became my job to go out and find a church. And I really hesitated going to Morning Star because they were meeting at the Biltmore then. We had just moved from Tennessee, where we'd just gone through a church building, and we moved the week after the church opened, and I just kind of didn't want to go through that again. So I kind of went one time, like, fine, I'll go, and I just was drawn back, and that was kind of the end of the story. We were praying along with many other people, and our prayers were answered. He got the great news that he got a job here in St. Louis. It was just such an answer to prayer because we knew we'd be able to stay here with our family, with our church, with our friends, and just go on as life had been going. And that prayer was answered, but it wasn't the final answer. That job lasted about 9 months. So during this season, Dave was out of work for 17 months. And the number one prayer we wanted answered didn't seem to be happening. But God showed up. He showed up in my prayers. He showed up in the prayers of others. He showed up in me hearing Dave's faith grow along with mine. And we just knowing he would get us through this. He showed up in having peace when we shouldn't have. He showed up in having trust when maybe it didn't make sense to. As the bank account was going lower and lower and lower, and the money we thought we would be having as our retirement was going away, that couldn't be where my faith was anymore. My faith had to be in God. In January, he got a call about a consulting jobs in Minnesota in January. But they kind of explained what they were looking for, that it's be a 3 or 4 month time frame, and I just was thankful because we kind of really needed a lifeline at that point. And I thought, this is just a cushion. I still believe something would open up here, but it wasn't ready yet. So God was buying us that 3 or 4 months to kind of get through it. Things in Minnesota, when I talked to Dave on the phone, they seem to be going really well, maybe a little too well. And he would talk about different plans his company had for him that in my mind went way beyond 3 months. But I still was dismissing it. I think I just didn't want to. No, that's not the plan. But I just, again, kept doing my thing. And I was with Aiden babysitting him. He fell asleep like he normally does on my chest, which, there's nothing better. That's heaven on earth to me. And I was just praying for him and doing different prayer requests and having some quiet time. And he was sleeping a little longer than he would normally. So I was in the middle of a Bible study that had daily kind of readings and assignments. So I thought, I'll start doing that. And it was a Monday, so it was a fresh week, and each week had a Bible verse. And the Bible verse for that week was from Deuteronomy 2:3, and it read, "You have circled this mountain long enough, now turn north." And it just hit me like a ton of bricks. I knew that God was giving me that word, which is one of the ways he speaks to us. but I knew that was for me because I had prayed so many circle prayers, I was dizzy. I knew other people were praying for us, and I knew that was part of what was sustaining us. But this being out of work, especially for that length of time, felt like a mountain that we just weren't getting to the top of. And I knew the thought had left my head and it was in my heart. I knew that we would be turning north and going to Minnesota. That devotion and that verse was on a Monday. On Tuesday, I got a text from Dave that he'd be calling later than normally because he was going out to dinner with some people from work. And that dinner turned out to be them offering him a full-time position in Minnesota. And God really did give me a heads up. He knew kind of I needed to have a warning that this was indeed happening. His official full-time start date would be April 1st. No fooling. Another one, God is funny, but I just knew that he's the one who gave me this tender heart that loves large. He understands. He gave me this awesome family that I am crazy about and love to spend time with, and I'm just blessed to know whether they were my family or not. So he is going to get the fact that this is costing me, that it's hard, that it will be okay, that he'll be with me wherever I go. This isn't the story I would have written for myself, but I can look back when we moved here. In the world's eyes, it didn't really make a lot of sense, but look how it's worked out. So I know he has things for me. And that same next day, that Tuesday, the same Bible study, they have Twitter Tuesday, and the hashtag was embrace. And he really, again, spelled it out for me. Like, I will embrace this part of my journey. I don't really understand it. I still don't. But I'm going to do my best to embrace whatever God has for me there. And trust that he's going to take care of this tender heart that he gave me. And I know that that is putting it in good hands.